Well, hello everybody. Maisha here with another video for you. So today I'm going to do a video on a couple of easy projects for you, a pair of earrings and a bracelet. And what I'm going to be using today, I'm going to be using beads from the Didi Deluxe Bead Box July 2025 edition, Fiery Azure. And so they've got some really pretty beads in this box today. I've been looking at them, touching them, playing around with them. And there's lots to do in here, but right now I'm going to focus on a couple of things that I have been playing with. I'm going to make this little cute and easy pair of earrings. Let me see here. I don't need a whole lot of wire, but what I have here is my German style wire by Beading. This is 22 gauge wire. I'm gonna cut a little piece, not very big. Looks like it's about 6 inches. You know, when you've been working with jewelry so long, you stop measuring. Well, for me, I don't measure anymore. And I put this down for a minute, so I want to make sure that my wire is correct. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with the drop, right? And so this one is called, let me see, it's on here. Oh, this is the champagne crystal leaf. Isn't that pretty? What I do like about this leaf is it has this little indentation here, which is perfect for when you put your wire in there. It sets right in that groove, right? So I want my wire to go in from front to back because I'm going to make this my front. That will be my back. So I'll put it in front to back, but then I have to make sure when I put this wire on and loop this wire around that when I finish the wire off, I'll finish it in the back. And I'm not doing that many loops at the bottom. I'm actually finishing this off after working on this a couple of days ago. In fact, I was working on this one. So it looks like I only did 2 wraps there, so I only do 2 wraps here as well. And I'm going to cut it off in the back. I'm going to use my flush cutters on the flush side and cut it flush on the back. Purchase those flush cutters from Amazon. If you don't have a pair, I think I have some in my description box of some of the tools that I use. And now I'm going to take this wire and kind of like smush it down against the base wire so that it's not sticking out. Okay, so it's in the back. And this pair, I put the gold seed bead in. And then I put my flower, but this time I'm going to put, and then I put my red, or what color is this? This is called, I don't know if they call this red or coral. Let me see. This is called... This is not a regular shape. It's hard to find it on here for some reason. Anyway, this is a red faceted rondelle. I'm just gonna call it a red faceted rondelle. And then I'm putting it on the bottom this time. right? So they'll kind of be a little mix match. And then I'm going to take another seed bead, another gold seed bead, put it in between, and then I'll rest my flower on top of that. Isn't that cute? We'll have a little mix match earrings. All right. And I didn't do any wrapping in the back. So what I'll do now is I'll just do a wire wrap at the top. And sometimes I like to make my wraps pretty chunky. You'll see that I have a chunky wrap here instead of a thin wrap. So I'll do that again. I'll make it a chunky wrap. So now I'm going to use my needle nose pliers. I'm sorry, I made a 90-degree bend here in the wire. And when you put in your pliers, right, when I was here, when I bent it over the top, it leaves just enough space here underneath the bottom for your wraps. So now I'm going to take my needle nose pliers, round nose pliers, that's what it is, and wrap across the top to make the loop. And I need to make it a little bit bigger because apparently this is what happens when you don't pick up your work for another day. My loop was bigger. So I put it underneath and then I looped it around. I turned my hand to finish off the loop. Now I am making sure that the loop is aligned. And I was also checking the size of my loop, right? Because of that size there, I want to make sure that they match as closely as possible. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap around. So I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to hold the loop itself. Right now my flower is turning, but eventually it'll stop turning the closer I get to it. Okay, so my pliers are in the way, so I might just change out my pliers, but we'll see. I might not need to. So I'm now just wrapping around. I wrapped around one full set of 3. Now I'm going to wrap back around another full set of 3. And when I'm done, it's not perfect. It's a little, it's not quite messy either. So, and then I'm going to make sure that I end up in the back. Okay. Tighten up my wraps a little bit. I end in the back, right? And this is where I'm going to cut it off. Using the flush side of my cutters, I cut the back, cut it in the back. Uh-oh. And now I'm going to take the piece that I cut and I'm going to tuck it in. You know what? It's sticking out a little. I'm going to cut it a little bit more because it's still sticking out. There we go. Perfect. Perfect. Now I'm going to fix this little bad boy. Make sure it's straight. Right. Okay. Now it's ready for ear wires. So cute. Okay. What I didn't do is plug wires. And I don't have any wires sitting next to me either. So I'm gonna grab some. still working on my organization so that I can access things quickly. See, I would use these, but look at the difference in color. Don't want to use those. So let's see, these are a little bit closer. I have an idea. How about if I get some wire and make my own ear wires? Okay. I'm gonna make my own ear wires right now. Okay. Yep. So this is how I'm gonna do it. I just have a scrap piece. You don't have to measure this if you don't want to. This is just a quick way of making ear wires that match. So I'm gonna I have a piece, it's probably about 6. It was probably about, it looks like it was 12 inches long. I'm gonna cut off some of it. And then whatever I cut off, it will probably be used as head pins when I'm making designs, right? So I'm bending that in half just so that I can get things as close as possible. Okay. All right, this is my way. Do it your own way. This is my way. Okay, so there I have the wire that's bent in half, right? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my bell making pliers and I'm gonna make this loop at the bottom, the smallest one on number 2. And I'm leaving a little bit out. I'm leaving just a little bit out. And now I'm kind of like smoothing the wire out. I want to make my, the part that goes in your ear a little bit more circular. So I'm going to use this number 7 and I'm putting that loop right in the groove so that I can loop around number 7. And then I'm going to wrap it around. Okay. So it looks like that. All right. I'm putting it back through just so that I could do that a little more. All right. When I do that, not only am I straightening it out, curving it a little bit, I'm work hardening it a little bit. All right, so now that's what my 2 wires look like. Now what I'm gonna do is take it where I want the little bend to be. And I want the bend, I don't want my earring hooks to be, sometimes I make them small where they end up like that. They just barely fit in your ear. Sometimes I make them a little bit longer. For these, I just want to make them a little bit longer. So right past where the hook is, I'm going to bend it. Okay? Just like that. So now, taking my flush side of my cutter, I'm going to cut off the tip. Leave a little bit of space and cut. I have head pins. 3, these will be head pins. Now, I'm going to finish these off by cutting the little tip, the one that I said, oh, I'm just going to leave that hanging over a little bit. I'm going to cut that off, flush. I'm going to take my pliers. Go back in there, close off the loop. Done. Take the step bill pliers, close off the loop. Sometimes I hammer the ends, like to flatten them, but this time I'm not. This time I'm just gonna work harden them. So I get my little bench block, my nylon jaw pliers, and I almost hit my fingers all the time, but I don't care. So I just work hard. Turn it over. Pardon the noise. Okay, now I'm gonna get my bead reamer that has a tip that you can use to sand or to soften these edges on your ear wires. You just put it in the little groove there and turn, feel. Feel. Or, this is something else that I use sometimes too. It has different sides, shape, smooth, buff, polish. You can knock off anything that's like scratchy with the shape, right? And then you take the smooth side and kind of like smooth it. As you can see, I use the smooth side a lot. But that's another way if you don't have the bead reamer to soften up the ear wires. Okay? All right, next step. Next step is to put the ear wires on the earring. I'm not gonna flatten that out, although it'd be pretty. I'm not gonna do it. And making sure that we pay attention to the front and the back, right? We face the front side away from the hook. I could have put a jump ring there too to make that bottom a little more dangly. But the whole thing swings, so it's okay. All right, that's one pair of earrings from Sam's. Okay. Did I put it on backwards? No, I didn't. There we go. All right, so that's one pair. I think they're cute. Now, I hadn't quite flushed out this idea yet. This idea, I really like these black ones. So I was playing around with them, trying to figure out how I might make a bracelet. So I think I had them like this. I think that's what I did. They're very pretty. think that's what I did. So do I like that? I don't know. It's pretty. Then these bad boys, they could go in here, maybe. What does that look like? I don't know, but I'm getting hot. I'm gonna have to turn on the fan. All right, raise your hand if you have hot flashes. Okay, let's see. Should I incorporate something like this in here? I don't know. Maybe. But I already have this color here. Possibilities. What can we do? Let's think about it. Should we incorporate more red? I kind of like this pop of red just kind of standing out on its own. So I'm really digging that. Do we want something that's asymmetrical? Something like that. Right? Do we want anything like that? Something that's asymmetrical. That's cute. It's different, right? What shall we do? Let's think about it. I'm gonna play with it a minute and come right back. Okay, so after playing around with everything, I revisited these. I really wasn't too happy with how stiff they were, and I wanted them to be a little more, you know, dangly. So what I ended up doing was I ended up taking off the leaf. I did a wire wrapped loop on the leaf so that I can turn the leaf into a charm. And then I just use simple loops using my one-step looper to create a head pin. Remember, I had the extra wire, so I just create a head pin like that, all right? With the one-step looper, and then I fed on the beads, the gold, the red, the gold seed bead, and the check flower. And then on this one, I did the opposite still. I did the seed bead, the flower, the seed bead, and then the red faceted crystal. And so, look, it's a lot more flowy. I like it better than that stiff one I had before. Okay. And I'll show one more example of how to use the one-step looper. Okay. Because just in case one doesn't know how to use it, I'm going to show you how to do that right now. And I'll just use one of these little flowers to do it. Since I've already done the one side, I'll show you how to do the other side. So I'm going to make both loops face the same direction, and I'll use this flower in something else. And then I'm going to put the wire, there's a hole in the very back to keep the wire straight and to keep it level. You put it in the one-step looper all the way till you almost touch the bead. I'm going to pull the bead out just a little bit because I had it so close on a couple of things and ended up cracking the bead. And then you slowly close the one-step looper, and you'll see that it will cut the other end, it'll give it a flush cut, and then it'll close it for you. Bend the flower down just a little bit to make sure that the bead is going to be level on that wire, and then slowly close because I want to make sure that I'm not going to crush my bead. And I feel like if it's a little tight on my bead, I pull it out, and then I will finish closing off my loop with the round nose plier. I'll straighten it and then close it with the round nose plier. Then I'll take my flat nose, make sure that everything is level. And there we have it. Okay, so that's how I did this. It's just with one piece of wire that goes all the way through. I made the head pin, I slid everything on, and then I finished it off with the other loop on the other side. Okay, so then as I was playing around with my other beads to figure out how I would do this bracelet, I said, let me just do it like a chain. So then what I did was I used my one-step looper to make a bunch of connectors, like the one I just did here. I made a bunch of connectors so that I could play with them, see how I wanted them to go. I pulled from my stash of Potomac crystals. I pulled these red AB bicone crystals. And then I made these components here. Same thing with the one-step looper. These little links. And then I did the same thing with the ones that came in the box. These faceted, fire polished crystals. So I took the head pin that I created, and then I put a crystal, then I put an O bead in between to add a pop of silver, another crystal, and then I used my one-step looper to finish that off. And I made different components so that I could just play around with them. You know, sometimes you make them, you don't know what you're going to do with them, and then you just play around with them, and then whatever you don't use this time, you use at another time. I just play around. I take my time and enjoy the process of playing with the beads. Look at these. These are like little globes. These are Potomac crystals. Golly, they're pretty and blinky. Those are so pretty. They won't go into, they were gonna go into this bracelet, but I decided not to put them in, but they're so pretty. Okay, so what I ended up doing was I took the rose, and then I took these size, I think these are size 8 jump rings. And then I just took my components and then I strung it onto the 8 jump rings. Okay. And then what I do to test to see whether or not I like something is I always lay it across my wrist to see how it looks. Because sometimes you look at it like this, and you don't know how it's going to turn out. So then I lay it across my wrist to see if I like the way it looks. Okay, that's how I do it. And I like the way it looks. And then it ends right there at the middle of my wrist. So then I know what length it is, right? And then I know it's time to close it off. Okay, so I already have an size 8 jump ring on the one end. I'm gonna go ahead and add a size 8 jump ring on the other end. It looks like that link is not closed completely, so I'm gonna close it, and I will. I'm gonna add the jump ring on the other end. And I think that I'm going to just do a clasp, lobster claw clasp, because I'm really not happy with some of the clasps that I have. I feel like I don't have enough, and I just really need to stop buying. Like, that's too blingy, right? So I'm gonna build up my clasp stash so that I can have a variety. And anytime I pull or need this one, I'd like to be a little bit, see, I'd like the lobster claw to be bigger. So I'm gonna continue to look and find a bigger lobster claw. So this is gonna go on here for now, but it's probably gonna change. Because I want a bigger one. So that means I have to go through all of my stuff to see what I can find. So it would clasp like that, right? So let me make sure. And it fits perfectly, right? That's how it closes off. It fits perfectly. So I have to decide now if I want dangles. Do I want dangles? I always make dangles, and I'm not quite sure if I want to make any this time. This is a this is a small bracelet because I have a very small wrist. It's very small. I think I have like a 6.5 wrist. So if I were to sell this, then what I would do is definitely make a dangle, and I would put an extension chain on it, because I think the average wrist is a lot larger than mine. Okay, so this is the bracelet. That's too big to use for a dangle. That might be an okay dangle. You know, if I decide to dangle, put a dangle. But honestly, I think that I like it without a dangle. I could probably put an extension chain, and then with an extension chain, just have a little one of these crystals on the end. That way, you know, I want all of the focus to be on this part of the bracelet. So let me know what you think about that. Okay. And then this is the next thing that I'm playing with. I am playing with this one. I haven't decided how I'm going to finish it off. Let me move all this out of the way. But I really love these beads. These beads actually came from, is this one or this one or this one? These beads actually came from Sam's. So, you know what? Since these beads actually came from Sam's, what I'll do is I'll do something different for Sam's. I won't even bring Sam's into this video. Sorry, y'all. Okay, so let me go ahead and show one more time. This is the bracelet. It's really cute on. These are some earrings. They don't necessarily have to go with this because, of course, you have gold and then you have silver. I've got look at all these beads I've left in this box for them. It's a small box that comes, but you'd be surprised at how many projects you can get out of the box from Didi Beads. But these are some of the components that I have left. Still lots going on in that box. I might even take some of these components. No, I was gonna say I could take it with this, but I just noticed this is gold. But what I could do, because I have tons more, right? Since I have tons more, I can make components like these right? And use it with this, which is what I think I'm gonna do. So I'll do that in another video. I'll use this pendant to make a necklace and show you how I do that. So stand by for that video. Thank you so much for watching as I went through the Didi Deluxe Bead Box July 2025 edition, Fiery Azure, and stand by for the next video. I hope to see you soon. If you like what you've seen here today, please like the video, please subscribe, please share the video with others. Help me grow my channel. This is a new thing for me on YouTube. You know, sometimes as you get older, you try new and different things, and so I'm trying something new and different, and your support is very much appreciated. And like, subscribe. I also have a Facebook channel, Facebook group, private group that you can join if you'd like to. There's lots of folks in there who are beginners, and they share their designs, they talk, they ask questions. They're very nice, they're very encouraging, and there's no judgment there. So if you want to just come in there and make some new friends, please come and join my Facebook group. I would love to have you there. Thanks, and see you soon.